I'd assume this has probably happened to a fair amount of people out there as well, but whenever you're exceptionally stressed at work, whenever you find yourself in a particularly negative situation for a long period of time, things that don't normally hurt start hurting, okay? You know what? Whether it's your tense and your shoulders start to creep up a little bit, or just instinctively from a biological level, you just want to start protecting yourself as you would if you were a caveman some few million years ago. But those little micro efforts of your body to try to protect yourself, those little things just start to compound, especially when you start experiencing negative emotions, and then those turn into pain. So the easiest way to find yourself relieving that pain is to get into a better headspace. That's what we're going to be talking about here today. You've heard the expression pain in the neck or pain in the butt. Language. And assumed that they're just figures of speech to describe a person or a situation that's unpleasant. However, I know firsthand the stress, trauma, and emotional issues. That's not me. This is Lynn Jaffe, who wrote this article, can morph into more than a pain in your neck, butt, and many other places in your body. Let's not get too salty. Here's how it happens. When you get frustrated or overwhelmed, your muscles tensed up. I just gave that little piece of anecdotal evidence to back up my own personal intro, but hey, she's going with it as well. And after a while, the layers of those tight muscles begin to stick to the layers of muscles above and below them. Those adhesions are called knots. Yes, which you can feel as a lump in the muscle below the surface of the skin. They can be painful, tight, and often tough to get rid of. When you relax, knots may also relax or resolve completely. After a massage, when you have been away on vacation, you notice that knots are gone. Sadly, chances are good that your knot will return when you sink back into that old stress-producing routine. Ergo, how do you overcome that? The fear of having pain can also result in avoiding the physical and social activities that you once enjoyed. How? Why? Maybe this is going to become more of a takedown video. Let's just see where this goes. Over time, this can feed into a negative spiral of loss of strength and function. Yeah, you just get over it by picking up the biggest responsibility that you can and just carrying it forward, okay? Because this is all about strength and conditioning and resistance training, okay? If you're going to be scared of getting injured again, there are many other activities, right? Because there's a bunch of people who think that the only way to train your shoulders, okay, to get that nice rounded shoulder is to do overhead presses. And then especially, you know what, hey, if somebody wants to work out their lats, right? Or they have this weird misconception that you got those old lady bingo wings. You know what I mean, right? You got that flappy old skin that just hangs down. They think that doing the pull down on the cable machine, you know, lat pull downs, that'll somehow work your triceps. It doesn't, by the way. That's not how triceps work. Triceps work when you push down, when you engage the tricep that way. It has nothing to do with pulling, okay? Triceps assist in doing things that more or less focus on the chest, but that's just an ancillary benefit of working chest, right? When you're doing flies, it doesn't do anything, but when you're doing bench press, yeah, your delts, some of your delts, your anterior and your medial head of your delts, they do a lot of the stabilization effort, but triceps, no, not so much. So when you're doing pull downs or even closed fist pull downs on the cable pull down machine, if I say pull down again, just feel free to turn off the video, but some people will just put it behind their head, and that's about the dumbest thing you can do, because shoulder subluxation, you know what, just the dislocation of your shoulder and putting any sort of undue stress on that joint there, just trying to put that behind your head and then just jerking your head forward and having the worst posture possible when you're doing said exercise. There are other things to do when you're trying to do certain exercises. You might not enjoy doing squats. Guess what? There's a whole bunch of other things you can do. You can do the incline leg press, and that's going to work out the same compound, okay? That's going to work out the same group of muscles. It's in a different plane. You can do the machine assisted one, okay? If you don't like and you feel like you're a little bit tipsy when you're doing squats, Smith machine at the gym, okay? Or you can just grab dumbbells and you can put them to your side, and you don't have to worry about resting a barbell on your shoulders if it hurts too much. There's always ways around it, okay? Just because you don't like one exercise, maybe it's because you aren't good at it and you just aren't aren't quite reconciling that with yourself yet, there's still other things you can do. And okay, maybe you know what, you just get rid of the weight, okay? Or maybe if you're doing lunges and you hate doing lunges, you got to think about the benefit of doing them, okay? And perhaps that'll propel you forward, but that's just boilerplate advice. And because obviously I'm not talking to a real individual here, I don't know your motivations and I don't know your personality, so I can't properly diagnose the situation. But that was just a nice little aside here. Your rib muscles are also a point to the emotion-pain equation. Okay, this is interesting. When you're happy, inspired, and upbeat, the muscles around your ribs open up in your chest and making it easier for you to breathe more fully. Again, that's one of those evolutionary responses, right? When you're feeling particularly confident, okay? You're feeling like you're in a situation where you can let your guard down. Normally, you'd be trying to protect yourself, and that's why the fetal position, or just whenever you're spooked in a situation, you're just going to try to close up in a ball as closely as you can. But when you're in a unstressed situation, yeah, of course, you're just going to naturally open up. Standing up straight with your shoulders back is normally a sign of dominance. Not always trying to exert that dominance over somebody else, but what you're trying to accomplish is put a forward-facing presentation on those emotions that you're feeling. So that might just be a psychological response to your current mindset, as opposed to purposefully doing that. So that's a very interesting logical conclusion to make. However, when you're depressed, a different set of rib muscles contract, pulling your chest inward and making it hard to breathe deeply, for the reasons that I explained. The obvious solution is to do something about your situation and emotions that are causing your pain. Unfortunately, that isn't possible or realistic. No, I vehemently disagree. Sometimes you have no choice but to coexist with an obnoxious boss. You're responsible of how you deal with that, okay? Deal with a troubled child or care for an aging parent. You don't have to carry that stress around with you all the time, okay? However, research has proven that as far as your feelings are concerned, you can act as if, rather than dwelling on the negative aspects of your life. Exactly. That situation might suck for the time being, but you don't have to carry it with you through the rest of the day. You don't have to keep reliving that situation over and over in your mind. You can work through it once and then just move on, okay? Acting as if can mean you can smile, cultivate your sense of humor, open up your chest and take a few deep breaths. Basically, fake it until you make it, until it's something that is just natural in your life, something that is happening whether you want it to or not. And just make those conscious efforts. It's like taking deep breaths. Now that I mentioned breathing, you're probably manually breathing. Sorry about letting those autonomic processes become manual. But hey, guess what? We're doing a thought experiment, of course. Meditate. Pay attention to your posture. Yes, standing up straight. When you're struggling with negative emotions, try to choose a thought just one step more positive than the one that you are having at the moment. Exactly. That's why you can't let stress ruin your life. Stress is a reaction to a group of situations, okay? And they can manifest in negative physical ways that are just detrimental to your life. Don't be a slave to your emotions. Get them under control, because there's nothing attractive, there's nothing positive about having a out of control emotional state. Whether you're a male or a female, you should have those under control, okay? Does that mean repressed? No. Those are just another arrow in the quill that makes you a functional human being. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.